Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. I'm just gonna do part two. Inshallah, we'll have our special guest join us again. Unfortunately, the reason this is happening is because Zoom has a limit on the free version. Now, I will be upgrading soon, probably tomorrow, I'll be upgrading, which will give me up to 100 hours of broadcasting via Zoom. I think Zoom is a great tool to use, so I'm going to do that. I can probably also use Teams and other sort of meeting stuff. So we'll wait for our guest to come before we continue. But meanwhile, maybe I should check
Casting
the stream.
via Zoom.
Okay,
I think
it looks like we are live on YouTube again. So it's just a matter of just now holding horses until our guest rejoins. And yeah, if he's able to rejoin, then it'll be brilliant because then we continue uh, the meeting. Inshallah, he will be joining soon. And I can also invite another guest if he wants to join. I'm going to try to get Mujahid as well to join if he's available. If not, it's not a problem at all. We can just have Taffazzel Hossain to rejoin the meeting. Yeah, he'll be coming in soon. He just sent me a message. So yeah, inshallah he will be joining shortly. Uh, yeah, let me just mute the stream so then we can once he does join, it doesn't interfere with the meeting. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying. So what the favor that I want to ask you all is to just make a comment below, support the special guests that I bring on because they're sharing with us gems, their experience, their journey to success. In whichever field, whether it's entrepreneurship or academia or health and so on. So we'll have a mix bag of experts that will be joining these this channel and giving sharing their experience and their knowledge and wisdom and hopefully what we want from you guys is just basically to benefit and also if you want to join the streams you are more than welcome. So we have Taffazzel Hussein who's joining us now for the second time and we're going to continue with Taffazzel inshallah soon he'll be joining.
Hi,
Assalamu
hi.
alaikum,
Assalamu
welcome
alaikum.
back.
Walaikum salam.
Yes, can you still hear
Yeah.
us okay?
Yes, yes,
All right,
I
yeah.
can.
So I'm sorry for the cut-off point. I was just explaining that, yeah, Zoom has a limit, but inshallah, I will be upgrading. Probably tomorrow, I'll be upgrading. Will give
Inshallah.
me 100 hours of stream without interruption. So yeah, yeah. We went up as far as HSBC. You got this project. You're on phase two, I believe, if I remember.
hmm
So this phase, how long is that going to be for? Is that going to be a 6 months project or longer?
I think it will be longer or maybe at least 6 months. That's what I am aware. So
Mm.
it lot of time, it depends upon their budget as well. Lot of things and
Yeah,
dynamics about the project. So, but
yeah,
yes, that's what I am aware of.
yeah. Okay. And so this project, after this project, do you have any other idea where you want to go, where you're going to progress? What's your ambition? What's your target now?
Maybe, yeah. So working in more challenging projects. I'm, yeah, working
Are
in
you
more
are you
challenging
happy on the
projects.
current project at the moment? Do you feel like you're growing, you're learning new skills, you're developing? Because that's important. It's not so much so that the income is good, whatever. You have to also grow and develop. Otherwise, you kind of like it's like spiritual death for me anyway. If I'm not learning and I'm not growing and eventually it becomes um, like a routine job and then I feel like I'm just slowly dying. It's like slow death.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No,
it's
no.
important that you are growing and you feel like you're developing. Do you feel that currently on the current project? Do you feel like there's new challenges and you're facing, you're
Yeah,
learning?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I'm learning, but I think could be more. Yeah, could be more. but definitely I'm learning because we previously, for example, I've added one more skill set this time, which is Kubernetes. So I have been hearing a
Oh,
lot
good,
about
good.
Kubernetes.
Yeah.
So I've literally worked this time on Kubernetes. So deployment, running, writing code, so everything in Kubernetes right now. So yeah, there is something, and also test-driven development. So what we have done previously, we have been writing a lot of codes, test-driven codes for Python, not for Spark. So this time I have written like unit test codes for Spark. So that is also, I would say, like added thing this time. But I was in terms of big data engineer, uh, I'm expecting more like three V's, right? Velocity, variety. So like velocity is something I'm expecting more, like more maybe tuning would come into the picture. Like how can we make more and more efficient? We
Mm.
can tune, you know, so that is something I am expecting. Hopefully, will come. And second thing, like more variety of data. Different data formats would be using. Let's see how things go. As of now, too heavy development, but problem solving. I don't see much. I don't see these projects is very complicated. I would say, but it's just definitely very complicated in terms of like communication heavy. A lot of different parties. I need to understand the requirements and to get it to convert into reality. So that's where the challenge lies, I would say. Then development is not that difficult, I don't see right now. But yes, sometimes it gets challenging, but that's the fun.
Yeah. So where do you feel? I mean, what would be your aspiration after this project completes? What would be maybe a next client? What would you look for in if there was a new role or a new project? What sort of thing would you like to be doing? More
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
development, or do you
uh-huh.
want to explore new technology? Learn about new tools. What's your dream kind of job? Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. What's your
Mhm,
dream
mhm.
project?
Yeah, good question. So I would say a little bit, or maybe some part of my role would include solution architect,
Okay.
giving solutions. Yeah,
Yeah.
and rest would be hands-on. Yeah, I think in order to give solution as well, you need to be hands-on.
Mhm.
Unless you have done it, unless you have good end-to-end understanding of doing things, you
Yeah.
can't really give a solution. I think solution architect also comes with some sort of hands-on as well, and be able to, what I see, be able to wear different hats in the, like, for example, what I see in our team, that person is solution architect is very experienced,
Mhm.
and he has very good understanding of developments.
Mhm.
Yes, very, I would say, like a very limited, I think, resources available market like him. Like his very good understanding of like development, how you develop, where you can have complexities and all, and very good understanding of wearing DevOps hat, like how can build the CI/CD pipeline, and how best you can deploy, scale, and all, and
Yeah.
also QA, also business. Like I see him, like I learn a
Yeah.
lot from him.
Yeah.
So yeah, to summarize your like to answer your question, maybe some part I would like to do solution architect, like giving solutions. I hear the problem, okay, give me 1 day or 2 day, I do research and I
Yeah.
learn new things. Okay, this can be a solution, so I'll go and ask for maybe a 1 sprint or 2 sprint spike, and I'll come up
Yeah.
with a POC done, you know. So if they find it okay, then I can really go for right proper development phase. So these
Mm.
sort of things, like more not monotonous, definitely, and like
Yeah.
same thing. I think the work I have been doing from last 6 years, it's not like new things, new technologies, new ways of doing things,
Yeah.
exploring new like
Mm.
new thing and facing new challenges. So one, not sure what exactly would be my uh, dream role, but definitely not monotonous, and some part of solution architect and some part of like the hands-on, and must be hands-on role. Otherwise, I'll get bored.
So in your current roles that you've been placed on at the moment, do you work like remotely or do you have to work on site or the client sites all the time?
So we do go to 2 days a week. Yeah,
Oh yeah, okay. So there's it's hybrid
yeah,
between remote and
yeah,
on
hybrid.
site,
Yes, yes,
which
yes.
is yeah. It's so you prefer it that way, or do you prefer to be just on the client? You
No, I
prefer
prefer work from home, but I prefer
ah
also I like to meet my team members sometimes. But I,
yeah
if you ask me, Taffazzel, what is your preference? I would prefer work from home,
yeah
and also like flexible working hours works best for me.
yeah
Like daytimes in HSBC, what I see lot of meetings, right?
yeah
You can't really finish your work before 5 or even 5:30. It's not possible. So what I do, like half day, I just think, okay, that's fine. It's going towards meetings, lot of meetings.
yeah
Then I spend like 5:30 up to. Then I log off and I come back around 8:30 or
yeah
9 after dinner, and I sit for like needed 2 or 3 hours. So I get my developments done that time mostly.
mm,
So yes, if I go to work, right, it will impact because next day I have to sleep early so I can be ready next day
that's
toward
right.
to
Yeah,
work.
it's not like
So
just
this,
jump out of the bed and you're in the office.
yes, yes, yes.
Or you take the
So
laptop with you to the bed, don't even have to get out of the bed. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you touch on a very good, valid point. Regarding the meetings, because like we have like early morning stand up, and then in during the day as well. There's meetings, team meetings, developer meetings, and like project overall project
hmm,
meet. So in between, you're kind of getting breaks, and I can relate to that because. What happens is sometimes there's like a particular task I'm working on or a particular Jira and so on, and it's I'm spending some bit of time to try to understand what the problem is and investigating and stuff like that, and I'm trying to get to the development side. I'm just working, and then suddenly there's a meeting coming up, and then suddenly you get like an interruption, and then after that you go back. Oh, where was I again? And you get back your thoughts,
yeah,
your train of thoughts again, and that kind of stuff. So you always get these interruptions, and also during the day, you have other developers that are calling you to a meeting. They want to ask you about something.
yeah,
Yeah, like so, and their development is connected to your development. So it's like a bottleneck. And then the next day
yeah,
you're reporting about the blockers and what you're working on, and that
yeah,
kind of stuff. So and sometimes the thing that you're working on is going to take a while to. It's not like like a 1 day job. So you're kind of like saying you're kind of just talking during the meeting. It's like a little bit of wasting time. If it wasn't
yeah,
so frequent, if there wasn't so many frequent meetings or stand-ups, and maybe once a week just reports on progress. Maybe you worked on a few
yeah,
Jiras or one major Jira or one major story.
hmm,
Then you can report. You have something to talk about rather than just like very small amount
yeah,
or
yeah,
that kind of stuff. Which I feel is not really benefiting the group. I feel it would benefit if, okay, after a week, every Monday we have a stand up, and okay, this is what we've been working on for the past week. And if there was some challenges or anything like that, then yes, we can have like a dev meeting or something like that. But if it's not necessarily to have so frequent meetings. I would have.
and
There was one point where I would have two meetings, and it's pretty much the same. One with the business and everybody, and then you have another meeting which follows on the same day, which is just the developer. And we're discussing exactly the same thing that we already spoke about
yeah, yeah,
during the
exactly,
meeting.
exactly.
So
Over and
a
over
lot of
again, and
repetition.
every people joining every call is not also very, I would say, time wasting. And people like us, like I'm a developer, so for us, if you want me to spend time on finding the problem or finding the requirements, that's actually company's loss, to be honest. That's why BAs are, business analysts are for. So
Yeah.
there are BAs should be coordinating with developers, and developers should be coordinating with BAs. What is the requirement, mate? Tell me. clearly, so I'll get it done, right? And obviously I have to understand the bigger picture of the project and why it is
Yeah.
being used, why I'm just developing a wall. It is for in the is it for toilet or is it for like wall of the so why I'm doing this? So I need to understand the context. That's true, but I think like if I spend too much time understanding the problem, so that's a killing of time.
Yeah.
I think I need to be served the requirements very smoothly, so I can effectively spend some time.
Mhm.
So I can get the work done in time. If I am, but what I see like in my time, like I'm having to spend a lot of time reading all the emails, and sometimes what people say, haven't you seen that email we sent last week? That was the update. You need to follow those. Come on, why then Jira is there,
Yeah.
right? You got to
Okay.
maintain the
A
Jira
bit
board.
lost. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, so you got to maintain the Jira board, and if there is any requirement changes, you update on the Jira, so it get logged as well. So if I'm having to spend time on reading emails for the requirements, that's not the best case. But we often do that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah,
I
I think it's
understand.
the organization, how you organize the team.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
to be honest.
I mean, the kind of work that I've been doing, I can pretty much deliver it remotely. I don't have to be physically in an office. It's not like a network engineer where they need to connect cables or anything like that. So, is your job pretty much the same? Is something that you can do and deliver
Yeah, I can do.
remotely? You don't have to be physically in the office, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I can do everything from remote, but I think it's just the policy. So you have to travel to office twice
Yeah,
a day,
twice a
twice a
week.
week.
Yeah.
So otherwise, I don't see any reason, to be honest. And also, especially where you have remote teams, like our team is pretty remote, and like many people are working from India, and like there's no point, but still we have to go.
Yeah. I think people in India, they don't have to travel, right?
Yeah, probably they also travel to their own
Or their
offices,
local office. Yeah. Okay.
local offices. Yes, yes.
Yeah. I mean, HSBC is a very good client. It's a very, very good client to have and work on. Yeah, inshallah, you become successful on in that. But I want to ask you some advice because now I see you as someone that's successful in your field, and I'm very proud of you. I like to see more Muslims being productive and proactive in their way, just like what you've gone through. How would you recommend, or what sort of advice would you give someone as a junior, maybe like a new graduate, or some
Hmm.
how could they get into becoming a data engineer or get following your footsteps basically?
Hmm.
What would be the first thing they do after they graduate? Maybe if they want to find a job in a field and they aspire to work for some of the clients that you've mentioned or a bank like
Hmm.
HSBC.
Hmm. Hmm.
What sort of thing?
Sure. If they feel them like if they find themselves passionate to work in the field of data,
Mm.
right? Because I think working with HSBC is may not be the dream thing. Dream should be like I want to work in the field of data. I
Yeah,
want to
good.
contribute in that field. Even the
Yeah.
little contribution you can, for example, Spark, right? Spark commits there. Are, I
Mm.
think more than 3,000 Spark committers right now around the world. So if someone is passionate enough to work in the field of data engineering,
Mm.
should then I think that's the main thing I would say. Work
Mm.
in this field and be curious about how this is working, and you know and finding the problems, as you mentioned in the previous call, like finding the problems, where is the problem. For example, Apache Airflow, right? Apache Airflow is one of the great data engineering tool right now, I would say. So Apache Airflow, basically an open source tool, but later on, cloud providers like AWS commercialized it through their own wrappers and all. How these things are going and why, like it should start from questions from different angles. I think it's all boiling down to things like how passionate you are, how curious you are. So if you are these two things, you have, so if someone has, I think definitely will succeed.
Inshallah.
Mainly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you see there is a lot of demand in the sector right
Lot
now.
of
So
demands.
it's
Yes,
easier
yes.
easy for someone to graduate and just hit the ground running and get into a job. Yeah,
Uh, I would say data engineering is a bit specialized. I would not say
specialized. Yeah.
heavily specialized. Yeah, bit
Mm.
specialized, but big data is more specialized, I would say. So data field, in order to get into data field, so you need to have good understanding of couple of things. There's like number one, development, how development works, right? CI/CD, unit test development, and like
Mm.
different practices, whether it's functional programming or non-functional programming, is different.
Yeah.
So I think development, how the development works, you need to understand a software engineering life cycle basically.
Yeah.
And
DevOps, like you've mentioned, continuous
yes, you need to have,
integration.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
Jenkins, maybe something like that.
yeah,
Ansible.
so how these things, yeah, and so how these things work really, it's so there's a difference between software engineering and data engineering. Software engineering is very much, I would
Uh,
say, development focused, and how efficient you write code, right? You will be
yeah.
judged based on how efficient you maintaining complexities, all complex analysis we do on space and time. But data
Mm.
engineering is slightly different. You need to have different understanding of different understanding of different components. Software engineering, number one, DevOps, and also you need to have good amount of understanding of Linux as well.
Mm.
Yeah, Linux, understanding Linux is also very important, and obviously most important is that how that database and data warehouse, what is olap, oltp, and how, and like which is different, like how each databases are different, as you mentioned, NoSQL database, and these sort of things. Theoretically, they should have very clear understanding, and it will take some time. It will take some
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
As I have trained also data engineers in my previous role, in
Mm.
I mean previous company, Arab, I was responsible to train. I think 3 days, three data engineers together altogether. They were very early stage, but though they had good amount of development experience, they were not at all experienced in the field of data. So
Mm.
I was responsible to train, have them trained. So I realized those things, like when I was training them, I had to, I they were mostly from development background, so it's okay, but really they didn't have much understanding why cloud even in the picture in the world now, right now, like it's managed, the main thing, right? Why
Mm.
managed, what is managed, and then you need to have the understanding of the infrastructure works, right? If you see
Mm.
any solution cloud, they haven't invented anything like out of the box. They have like mostly they have taken from the open source, and they have add a wrap up, and they are like feeding to the people like as a managed service, right? So you spend less
Yeah.
time, you spend less money.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, and basically less expert is required. So that's the what I see main motto of any cloud services, right?
Yeah.
So those sort of things I found very important. Also, as I mentioned, data engineering needs a very good understanding of how this database, data warehouse, and OLTP, OLAP, how things work.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you think I can help someone, inshallah, I will definitely help. If you know anyone
Yeah.
is passionate enough, I wherever I go, if I see youths like passionate or wanted to hear about data engineering, because I think a lot of people talking about data science,
Yeah.
and they think like data science is very close to data engineer. So that's why people are interested to hear about data engineering. So I do
Yeah.
talk about data engineering and more specialized big data. And in terms of market, right, big data is a very good, I would say, demand right now.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely,
Yeah.
big data is a very specialized thing. But you have to be good. Like someone has to be that passionate enough to. Because these skills are not like traditional IT employees, right? Very specialized field, and you have to be just good at it. Otherwise, why, for example, HSBC or banks, why would take you, right? They will be spending
Mm.
£1,000 a day to you or your company, And so, for example, I'm just saying, I'm not sure how much they pay.
No, yes, in the financial sector they pay well over that even. It depends
Okay,
on
okay.
the project and so on. So yeah, it goes
Yeah,
up like 500
yeah,
pounds to. I know people in the financial sector earning 2, 3,000 pounds a day as contractors. So yeah, it really depends what sort of specialization in
mm,
the financial sector you're
yeah,
in. So yeah, it's very achievable. And but what I want to
yes,
say to people that they shouldn't do this for the money. They should do it because they're passionate about it, because it is going to take a lot of commitment and perseverance. You're going to go through a lot of pain. And if you're not doing
yes,
it for a bigger reason, a big enough reason, because it's your passion, this is what you want to be, you will eventually go crazy. You will give up, and you will not be
yes,
able
yes,
to
yes.
survive for long enough
Yeah,
to actually see the financial reward. So you will,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So you're not going
yeah.
to achieve that kind of level unless you put
No.
years of you've
Yes,
got
yes, yes,
experience and you've developed yourself and you're now very valuable in the marketplace. To do
yes,
that, you
yes,
have to suffer. You have to go through pain. It's not going to be easy.
yes, yes,
And
yes, yes.
one
Definitely.
thing,
Yes.
like because I when I was working and building up my capital and so on, I had a lot of people that approached me and said to me, "Oh, give me a job, try to get me a contractor," but they didn't have any experience. Okay, and when I told them, okay, it's what you need to do, you need to start at this level, you need to work, and you need to learn about, like, just like what you've explained about all these different aspects to become a data engineer. I told them the same thing. If you want to become a financial software engineer and that kind of stuff, this is the sort of things you need to learn. It's going to take you total before you reach this level where you're earning this kind of income, at least 5 years, and you're gonna have to learn about all these things, right? And they said to me, no, 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 we want to do something that's gonna give us £10,000 a month, and I don't want to, first month. Right? I said, it's impossible. You have no experience. How could you get that kind of level? How could I get you a client that's willing to pay you 10, 20,000 when you have nothing to offer? You have to become valuable. The market will
Yeah.
come to you. The market will value you based on what you're prepared to contribute. How valuable are you? So you become valuable
Yes,
first.
yes.
Leave the results. The results will come by itself. You focus on
That will come
activity.
by itself. Yes.
Yeah. So that's another thing as well. You have to accept the qadr of Allah. Our risk is fixed. Yeah. And the results is fixed. You don't know. You might try to, like, you might be driving down the road and you intend to arrive to your destination within 2 hours, but then there's an accident in the road, so you get delayed and so on. So you don't know. You're just basically doing your best, and the result is up to Allah. What's written is that's exactly what's going to happen. You might change
Gonna
direction. It will
happen.
take you longer. You might not even reach the. You might end up turning around and going back because suddenly it's a dead end. You can't go to reach that particular destination, and you might find yourself at a different destination because that's what's written for you. So you just have to accept your predestined whatever's written for you, and that's it. Just say Alhamdulillah. Allah knows best. Allah knows
Alhamdulillah.
why I didn't reach this level, or reach this particular destination, but He took me in this other direction, and now I am in this direction. Allah knows what's best for you, and He wants the best for
Yes.
you. And that's just accept it. So you should never despair if you fail or you have some calamities or any issues. You should always accept it. I actually, while I was working, this is my story actually, and Mujahid knows this. While I was working, I was always putting most of my income in the market, in financial market, and gradually, after several years of investing, I built a large capital in the market, and I was investing in natural resources. And then there came a period, within 2 weeks, I lost 50% of my portfolio value. I mean, obviously, I didn't do proper risk management. I was just basically it wasn't good. I just assumed that I know best and I've got a good strategy, and I didn't really do proper risk management. So I ended up dropping. I didn't have a stop loss, whatever. So I dropped a huge amount, and I said, well, I can't lose. I lost 50%. It took me years to build up this capital. I'll just wait, and then the market will turn. But unfortunately, the market kept diving, and it just got worse. I ended up losing pretty much all my capital that I built over you can say 10 years of hard work investing,
Very sorry
doubling
to
here.
hear.
So yeah, it happened. But when it happened and I dropped to, well, I lost 99%. I still have some, I have the shares in there. Some companies obviously got delisted. There's a lot of things happened, but I lost pretty much 99.9% of my capital, and I found myself at rock bottom again. I just said Alhamdulillah, and I started thinking positively about all the blessings that I have. Like for example, I gained a lot of commercial experience because while I was trading, I was also working. I was also an employee. And I kept saying Alhamdulillah on all these blessings that I have, like my eyesight. I still got my health. Yes, I'm a lot older. I lost years of my life, but I said I just took it as a joke. I said, oh, Alhamdulillah, I'm still in the game, and while I'm still in the game, I still have a chance to win the game. It's not I didn't die basically, so the game isn't over yet. So I'm still alive, and maybe there is a greater lesson I can learn from this. A very expensive lesson, but maybe I've now it's etched in my head. Never do this again. If you're gonna invest, and make sure you don't take risk. You don't it's such a high risk. And most of these companies failed because they were highly leveraged. That's another point as well. And maybe this is why Allah stopped, woke me up at this point. And now, when I do make an investment in companies, I make sure they don't have any debts. I don't, like they're growing organically. So a company that started up, and the founders, they invested their capital into the business, and they're growing slowly rather than trying to leverage their business by borrowing money from the bank to do a project. So they built from their own capital. They made some profit, then they invest in another project, and they grow that way. They grow slowly rather than trying to grow quickly by borrowing millions of pounds from the bank. Because when things go wrong, you still owe the bank the money. And if the bank doesn't get
Yeah.
paid, they're going to repossess the assets. They're going to take the equipment, if it's drilling equipment, whatever, and you won't have a way to trade. So I learned that, and I stopped investing in companies where the directors, the board of directors, they pay themselves a high salary, and they're using the business as a cash cow. They're trying to milk the business. So yeah,
Mhm.
so that's one thing I stopped doing. But I'm investing a small. I'm not investing all my capital. I invest small amounts here and there, not risk it all, because that's
Just
what I did in
one
the
thing
past.
here.
I dropped into the market a huge amount. I put all my capital in, and I was always doing just averaging down. So when the share price is dropping, I would buy more shares to average down my price, and I ended up putting all my capital to the point where when it crashed, I didn't have any money. All I had is I had to go back to work. But Alhamdulillah, this is the point I wanted to tell, and I want to share it with the audience. While I was saying Alhamdulillah and all these things that I have, like okay, I got my qualifications. No one can take away my qualifications. No one can take away the years of experience that I've built up working. Like you've worked in a number of different clients. No one can say to you, oh, by the way, you got like 5 years experience. No, 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 no. It's only 1 year experience. It can't go down. It can only increase. The more you work, the more years of experience you have in the
Cannot be
industry.
taken away. Yes.
It cannot be taken away. So I started saying that, and at that point, I had a phone call. I received a phone call from a bank, and they said they have a project, and if I could, how much notice do I need? And they need someone urgent. If it's possible, I could start as soon as possible. And they wanted me to start. They were looking for someone to join the team within 48 hours. They didn't, and I said to them, I'm available. So they were like, oh wow, this. And the way they found out about me is from another colleague of mine that I worked with in the past, many years
Mhm.
ago. I worked with
Yeah,
someone, and
Allah
they
makes a
they
route.
gave
No
them,
one
yeah,
knows.
they gave them my name, they gave them my contact number. It was the same mobile number. They called me up, and they said they got my name from another bank directly, and they did it as a contract. It wasn't employee, it was a contract project, and they sent me a laptop to connect to the bank. So I didn't need to, so it's like remote work. I didn't need to travel. I didn't need. I was actually working with a bank before even I signed the contract. Can you believe it? I was already
Oh,
connected. I didn't even sign the contract. So it just happened so quickly. Before I knew it, end of the month, money was coming into the account. and I was like, whoa, that was so quick, you know. Allah immediately when I said
Allah
Alhamdulillah,
makes the
He
road.
made the
Yeah.
open the door. I said, oh, this is really powerful. And I said, maybe now I have a chance. I never reached the level, you know, or you know, the financial level that I was before, but Alhamdulillah, I'm okay and I'm growing, and now I'm in the Isle of Man. I've got the business and I'm building it up slowly. But at the same time, while I'm doing that, I'm not thinking about myself. I'm thinking, what can I give back? What can I give back to the people that are just starting up? What can I give back to the youth? What can I give back to the community? So I want to share the knowledge and experience or any pitfalls I've had. I want to share the failures, because one thing you would notice, like on Instagram and social media, anyone that's successful in anything, they just always boast about what they have. Oh, look at my Bugatti, look at my lifestyle, look at all this money that I have. They're just showing off, and no one's really sharing their failures. These are the lessons. You know, you learn from the failures. You don't learn from successes. When things going great, you're not learning. You're just enjoying, you know, you're just, but yeah, what you're learning from is the failures. And what I want to do is I want to share the mistakes. Some of them are really foolish mistakes. I mean, you know, like when I tell people, they say, oh, how could you have done this, you know? It's such a, you know, but in that's in hindsight, you know. When you look back,
It
obviously, if
happens.
I look at
It
myself in the
happens.
past, I say, "Oh, I'm such an idiot. Why did I do that? How could I have done this mistake? You know, it's just, but it's so obvious that it's just the most silliest thing to do is to invest in a company before researching the founders, you know, the people behind the company, how much capital they have, how much debt they have, you know, the risk of the investment, you know, that kind of stuff. But I did it very in a very amateur way. Of course, I didn't start that way. That's how I built up my capital. When I started, I had very small capital, so I was very careful. I would do a lot of research. I spent a lot of time investigating the company, looking at the previous year's accounts. I would do a lot of research. But as I started, my capital started to grow, and I grew to a certain level. I was starting to become more careless, and I didn't do a lot of the homework, you know, the groundwork, just the researching. So I would just go on hype basically. So when someone says, "Oh, this is a good company, it's a good investment," or "This company is doing exploration in Morocco to discover hydrocarbons, and they're gonna make a big discovery," without any verification, I would just say, "Okay, I'll put, you know, a large sum of money into this project," thinking that somehow this is going to turn into millions and millions of
Even
pounds
bigger. Yeah.
overnight. But yeah, it went it backfired then. Yeah, so there's a lot of silly mistakes. But what I want to do now is, as I'm growing, I want everyone to grow. You know, because together everyone achieves more. So
Yes.
this is why I'm thinking is, how can everybody, we all grow together and we contribute, and at the same time we show the world, uh, you know, practically through our actions, the real message of Islam, how Islam is so beautiful. Not just by words, not just say, oh, we are, Islam teaches us to teach and education support. No, we should be teaching, sharing with the world, making the world a better place for everybody, for all the creations of Allah, you know. Then people would see it, through our actions, what we're doing and how we're contributing. Just like in the past, you know, when the Islamic golden age, when the Muslims were advancing in sciences and all aspects of life, and they were showing the world how to do things. And now all these technologies that we have today, in the core level, it's all came from Islam. Mathematics, algebra, calculus, you name it. Everything, the foundation of all these sciences were all Islamic scientists, and they all came from Muslims. So yeah, they're the ones who created
Indeed.
this golden age. So we need to do that. We need to be leaders. We need to show
That's
the
true. We
world.
need to
Yeah,
practice, and what you mentioned, like
exactly.
we just preaching is not enough. We
Yeah,
need to practice. We need to do that in real
yeah.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's 100% correct. So that's what inspires me and inspires me to do this. And I don't know how much Mujahid told you, but I started recently. I mean, this is just a few years back, just recently. I started getting more involved in humanitarian relief projects, charities, and that kind of stuff. And you know, what I realize, there are people out there, India, in war-torn countries, refugees and stuff, that they don't have any chance. They don't have any opportunity at all, for education or work. They are completely forgotten. And we are in such a great opportunity. We
Privileged.
are.
We are privileged.
Yeah, we are very privileged, but those people are forgotten. And I would love that we help these people in some way. Me by myself, or just one individual or two people, cannot do anything. They cannot make an
No.
impact. So we need to lift these people, because these are our family. Because as you know, we all came from Adam. With the same father, same mother. We're all one family. So this is our families, our brothers and sisters. So we can't just. How can we sleep at night, and have a peaceful sleep when we know there are people that they're in life-threatening situations, they're dying, they're being persecuted, there's oppression, there's a lot of things. How could you know they're dying from hunger and thirst, and so how can I sleep at night? Now I know what's going on in the world, and be like that. So I want to be able to lift these people out of poverty, or at least save even one life. If I could save one life, that would be an achievement. That's my vision. And also, you said you're from Kerala. I have a business partner that's
No,
from
from
Kerala.
Calcutta. I'm from Calcutta,
Calcutta.
east
Oh,
part of
sorry, I said Kerala. I heard
Oh,
Kerala.
no, no, no,
So
no,
I have a
Calcutta,
I
yeah.
have a business partner from Kerala, from India. And what I notice as well, because I have a lot of Indian friends, they're very, very, very talented. There's a lot of value, like diamonds. They're like really precious. But not just in India, all over the world. Even all these third world countries, in African countries, in the Middle East, and so on. I can tell you, I was in Barcelona recently, just a few months back. And I was actually sad because I met an Egyptian brother, and he's now working in Spain, and he's very successful. But I felt sad because I was asking him how he got into this field, and he didn't learn absolutely nothing that he's now doing. He learned while he was in university in Egypt, because they didn't teach that knowledge. He only learned it because he migrated. He started studying, doing some postgraduate degrees when he went to Korea, and from that he got headhunted and entered. So I think we got cut off again. We ran out of time, unfortunately. So I'm very sorry about that. So we'll continue another time, inshallah. I think you got a lot of content from this. So thank you very much for following and subscribing to the channel and supporting us. So please leave a comment below. Inshallah, I will be upgrading soon so we can have a longer live stream. Okay, Jazakallah.